Topping today's news, we've got the latest from Sunday's deadly human smuggling attempt. Prime Minister Davis speaks to the illegal migrant issue, another homicide in the capital today, and the pediatric vaccines have arrived. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. Thanks for joining us. Two Bahamian males, aged 48 years old and 39 years old, known to police, are in custody after their 30-foot Mako Cuddy cabin vessel carrying an estimated 60 people capsized in Bahamian waters in the early hours of Sunday morning in what authorities believe was a human smuggling operation, as all of the deceased and those rescued are Haitian nationals. 17 Haitian nationals, including 15 women, 1 man, and a female toddler, all perished and pulled from waters 7 miles off New Providence near Blackbeard's Key. Between 8 and 15 people are still missing, according to Police Commissioner Clayton Fernando. Sometime around 1 a.m., officers of the Defense Force Marine Patrol received an alert of that twin-engine speedboat that was reportedly headed to Grand Bahama and then the United States. Prime Minister Philip Davis, in addressing the media Sunday afternoon in the aftermath of the tragedy, says a multi-agency investigation is underway to determine the full circumstances of what he called a tragedy at sea.
My government, from the time it came into office, has continually warned against these treacherous voyages. We have increased surveillance on land and sea and intensified patrols. We take this opportunity to strongly condemn the organization of smuggling operations which risk human life and compromise our national security. Those found to be involved will face prosecution. I would like to convey the condolences of my government and the people of the Bahamas to the families of those who lost their lives in this tragedy.
Now, that vessel, according to officials, left a docking facility off West Bay Street, believed to be a location known as the Sand Trap. Attorney General and Acting Minister of Health Ryan Pinder says upon completion of investigations, those responsible will be prosecuted by the fullest extent of the law.
Certainly we will wait and see the final reports of the investigation from the law enforcement team. To the extent that those investigations reveal criminal culpability, there will be no resistance by the government of the Bahamas in bringing the necessary criminal action and criminal enforcement action against those who are deservingly so.
According to officials, there were 25 survivors of this deadly voyage. Immigration Minister Keith Bell says they have been treated and processed at the Princess Margaret Hospital and handed over to the Department of Immigration, where they will be housed and questioned.
20 persons so far has been turned over to immigration. They are at the detention center. As the Commission indicated, interviews have commenced, and as I'm advised by the Director, those persons have indicated that they would have paid somewhere between $3,000 and $8,000 for this fateful voyage thus far. And so we anticipate that that information would be passed over to the police and also the Office of the Attorney General, who will then take whatever necessary course of action they deem necessary.
Now, following Sunday's failed human smuggling attempt that left 17 people dead, Deputy Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Captain Shawnell Pinder, says that multi-agency search and rescue continue for the remaining 8 to 15 people who are currently missing, with pledged help from the United States Coast Guard.
To have a combined effort, as I expressed yesterday. Defense Force assets, surface assets will be out sharing, ensuring that searches occur at the shoreline areas and in the area where the vessel capsized. In addition to that, we will be utilizing our drones, both submersibles as well as aerial drones, to see what, if any, remains or persons can be recovered. We have received, as the other minister indicated earlier, assistance support from the Americans as it relates to overflights, in addition to the Defense Force aircraft, I might add. And so it's a combined effort using all available resources in an effort to see if there are any potential survivors, those unlikely it may be, as well as to recover any remains.
National Security Minister Wayne Monroe telling reporters today that he believes Sunday's incident may have been workings orchestrated by an international criminal organization.
We must find out the full extent of the operation. In my mind, something like that doesn't just pop up and happen. So we may be contending with international criminal organizations. And so this course today is important as it focuses on that sort of thing, protecting your country. And this is not unique to the Bahamas. And so there will be investigations to discover how this operation was put together. Is it localized? Does it involve persons in the U.S.? Does it involve persons in Haiti? Is it a transnational gang? And our law enforcement officials will address that as expeditiously as they can.
Now, as for the two Bahamian men in police custody, presumably to be the captains of the vessel, Minister Monroe says they could be facing murder charges and the appropriate human smuggling offenses.
I would have every expectation that if it is found that two persons recovered are the captains of this vessel, that they will be charged with the appropriate human smuggling offenses. And to my mind, they also have to consider a homicide charge for that. Because it's one thing to smuggle people, and you can smuggle people safely or unsafely. And so, for instance, I can take a 40-foot boat and smuggle two people to the U.S., and that's illegal, that's human smuggling. Or you could have an event like this, an overcrowded boat, no flotation devices. That is actually dangerous. And so the first example of the human trafficker is bad, but it's not as bad as somebody who traffics people and traffics them in an unsafe manner. And I think that we have to demonstrate that we are labeling events according to their severity and according to persons' culpability.
The Bahamas is known to be a transit point for Haitian nationals fleeing Haiti in an attempt to reach American soil, but we cannot absorb irregular migrants. So says Prime Minister Philip Davis following the tragedy at sea that claimed the lives of 17 Haitian migrants, including a female toddler. Over the last few months, Haiti has been gripped by fighting between rival gangs. It has led to the deaths of at least 234 people between July 8th and July 12th alone, according to the United Nations Human Rights Office. During a special called press conference at the office of the Prime Minister on Sunday afternoon, Prime Minister Philip Davis revealed that he, along with the Prime Ministers of Jamaica and Barbados, have been appointed by CARICOM to a committee to look into how the Caribbean region could help resolve the issues in Haiti. However, Prime Minister Davis says the solution has to be a Haitian solution rather than an imposed solution.
Just had a resolution. The UN resolution was finally passed about 2 weeks ago, about a week and a half ago, so that we could continue the presence of the UN peacekeepers on the ground. The question is whether there'll be any intervention. You know, the position of CARICOM has always been that the solution has to be a Haitian solution rather than an imposed solution. And that continues to be our position. And we are to engage very soon in attempting to bring the factions together. At the moment, it's just gang wars. It is a failed state as we speak. And efforts to bring the warring parties, and I say the gang leaders together, are in train as I speak.
The number of Haitian nationals attempting to leave Haiti has been growing since gang violence escalated. Many of them have set out on voyages on unsafe vessels towards the United States or countries in Latin America. But in recent months, according to Deputy Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Sean L. Pinder, due to the ramping up of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force marine patrols, there has not been a successful landing. Sunday's ill-fated voyage was one of migrants leaving the Bahamas heading to the United States. Prime Minister Davis says this now requires a different approach.
That approach is what we call our local enforcement, where we find them in the Bahamas, already here, and then what we do after we find them is to repatriate them. At the moment, repatriation could be difficult, and that's one of the reasons why we have beefed up our surveillance to prevent them from coming in.
The Prime Minister added that the world is suggesting countries should absorb all of those who leave Haiti.
That's what they would say to me. When I was at the Summit of Americas, they wanted me to sign on to an irregular migration declaration. That includes, but we have our own peculiar circumstance that I keep reminding the world of. We are unable to open our borders to irregular migration and our refugees either, because of our own limited resources and because they ask us to do things, but at the end of the day, who foots the bill? You, the taxpayers.
Prime Minister Davis says there is a delicate balance that officials are going through with law enforcement collaboration. Police are investigating the country's latest homicide that occurred around 1 p.m. this afternoon in Pinewood Gardens on Pigeon Plum Street, south of Ficus Street. When police arrived on the scene, they met a male who is believed to be in his late 20s lying in the middle of the street with gunshot wounds to the body, who police believe was one of the shooters and not the intended target. Chief Superintendent Chrisling Skippins gives these details.
What we know about this scene at this particular time is that shortly after 1 p.m., an orange-colored Nissan March with 3 males pulled up to a residence just south of Ficus Street on Pigeon Plum Road. We understand that 2 of the males exited the vehicle with the intention of harming a male resident of the home that is just south of Ficus Street. It is reported that the 2 males who exited the vehicle with handguns discharged shots at the intended target, who was able to evade them. And during the time that they were firing shots at the intended target, they accidentally shot one of the males who came with them to this residence.
Chief Superintendent Skippings says the intended target of the incident is now in custody with 2 other males who will assist with the investigation. Police have also recovered the vehicle in connection with the incident. She says she is concerned with the level of crime in the country and gives this appeal to the general public.
We want to appeal to residents. You know exactly who your family members have conflicts with. And as I said, I stand here with Chief Superintendent Johnson. I'm going to ask you, as a mother, as a grandmother, reach out to Chief Superintendent Johnson and the team at the Criminal Investigation Department so that we can resolve these issues. If we fail to sit down and have a conversation with these individuals, we will continue as a country to see this carnage on our streets.
About how old was the...
1 death is too many for us as a country. And that's why you hear me constantly make that plea for parents to turn your children in, bring them in, let us resolve these issues. Too many males are being slaughtered on our streets, just too many. And if we can only work together as individuals, as a country, put aside our differences, we can resolve this issue. But you've got to be able to trust and work with your law enforcement agency. We're here to help you.
Father of the intended target, who asks to remain anonymous, pleads with the young men who may find themselves in gangs or in conflict.
Man, I plead out to these young men to try and settle their differences differently. All right? Look, nobody can agree with something, with everybody all the time, you know. But at least settle your differences different, man. I plead to y'all, man. If you all have a problem, why don't let's face each other face to face than to sneak and kill and churn? Because that's what's going to happen today. Huh? A bunch of children in this house, that's what's going to happen today. Stop sneaking. If you all have a battle, face yourself. You know who I is, I know you is, and you all go on it, man. Because this is ridiculous. I speak out of it because guess what? I have plenty of little young kids, little young grandchildren, man. Little siblings, man. But I still waking hard for. You mean to tell me I was going to come in all of my strength, all of my labor, going in vain?
Again, police are asking for members of the public with any information related to this latest shooting to contact their nearest police station or call 911 or 919 or Criminal Investigations Department. Meanwhile, police are still searching for the occupants or occupant of a Toyota Passo license plate AU1528, who are believed to be responsible for another shooting death here in the capital, which occurred at the Esso gas station at the junction of Faith Avenue and Carmichael Road. The victim was believed to be in his early 30s and out on bail for a criminal matter. According to police reports, around 12:30 p.m. on Sunday, after purchasing gas and an item at the Esso service station, the male victim waited in his car to be serviced. Chief Superintendent Michael Johnson of the Criminal Investigation Department had this to say.
A small vehicle, which we believe is a Japanese type model, pulled up. One male exited that vehicle, approached the deceased, shooting him multiple times about the body. On completion of that, he jumped back into this vehicle and proceeded west onto Carmichael Road, making good his escape.
When asked about the nature of the shooting happening brazenly in broad daylight on what's known to be a busy intersection, Chief Superintendent Johnson conceded such and added it is a concern for the police.
This service station is always populated with civilians, and so these persons are getting very brazen, and so it does concern the police, but we continue to ask members of the public if they see anything suspicious to contact 919 and be always on the alert. We are all about on the streets. As you look around, you can see police patrolling everywhere, but these crimes are crimes of opportunity. So we again ask the public to just be cautious where you go and be observant. Contact the police if you feel that something appears to be untoward or suspicious, and we'll act on it.
Police are asking for members of the public with any information related to this shooting to contact their nearest police station or call, once again, 911 or 919 or the Criminal Investigation Department. Meanwhile, a 19-year-old male and two juvenile males, ages 17, treated and discharged after being shot by police on Sunday. Preliminary reports indicate that shortly after 1 a.m., officers attached to Operation Ceasefire were on routine patrol in the area of University Commons when they attempted to stop a dark-colored Chevy Cruze occupied by 4 men. According to police, the suspects pulled over. However, as the police exited their vehicle, the driver sped off, which resulted in the police pursuing that vehicle. During the pursuit, one of the occupants produced a handgun and fired gunshots at the police, which resulted in the police discharging their service weapons. The pursuit reportedly ended in the area of Celery Drive on Blue Hill Road near the Yellow Elder Primary School, where one suspect was able to make good his escape. Officers recovered from the vehicle a handgun and a large quantity of ammunition and are actively searching for that fourth suspect in this incident. Investigations continue. We'll take a break here, and we'll be right back after these commercials.